Yeah.
Hi.
Okay. Now, so what were some of the people you were imprisoned with? Who were some of the people?
Well, I was with the military unit,
Right.
with some of the higher officers. There was even one general.
Wow. Do you remember his name?
Who served in the British, with the British Army. They were like helping the British.
Yeah. What was his name? Do you know?
No, I forgot the name.
General? Okay.
Unfortunately.
Sure.
And there were other officers from whom, while I was still there, I was learning English language. They taught me because they knew English good. They lived in England for 4 or 5 years, you know.
Right, right.
During the war.
You said was an author of like science fiction books, you know, like about the moon and a man in the moon. You said you were imprisoned with an author.
Oh yes, he was Slovak, old man. He was with us at one time. What was his name? He was an author. Yes, he wrote books. And he had one of his books with him.
Wow.
He showed me. Now you see, I'm 90 years old, and my memory is slipping.
I know.
I'm losing my memory.
Some of these.
It was a short name, I think.
Right.
Very nice fellow. He wrote, most of what he wrote was fiction. About the moon, about some strange creatures on the moon, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I really don't know how many books he wrote or anything like that.
Right.
And he was the only one I confided about my idea trying to escape. I knew I could trust him. He was an older man.
Yeah.
I was a youngster at that time.
Yeah.
But he was maybe 50 or 60 at that time. Kind of heavy-set guy. Very nice, very friendly. What was his name?
Anything else that you were imprisoned with that you can remember at all, or?
Well, I was with some high officers, colonels and captains. There was one general.
Wow.
Oh yeah, and I was starting to learn few words English from them. And they were quite happy to teach me English language, and I was already hoping to escape from there someday and come to America, you know.
So when
I would need English language.
So when you talk to the British guys, they asked you these questions. Who were these guys? Who were these officers?
Yes, they did. I gave them the names of the officers with whom I was sitting in the prison, and they were very interested in that. I told them if they could help them somehow to get out, but they didn't know. But they were very interested in that because they knew them. There were people who worked with them.
Yeah.
They were Czechoslovakian citizens, but they worked with the British. And yes, I had a good time with the British unit. They treated me well, they fed me well, I slept there, and every day I told them what I knew, and they wrote it down, and they said, they asked me where I would like to emigrate, whether Canada or Australia.
Now,
they could help me.
When you talked to them, was there someone there who understood Slovak, or were you talking to them in English?
Well, I stood mostly in broken English.
Mm-hmm.
By that time, I already knew a little bit, enough to barely conversate. So they asked me, and then they asked me where they would help me to emigrate, where I would like to go, to Canada or to Australia. I picked up Australia because I have frostbitten toes on my feet, and winter is a bad part of the year for me. So
where did you get the frostbitten toes? In the Gulag, didn't you?
Yes, in the Gulag we were hungry, and there was terrible cold weather there in the area of Archangels by the White Sea, in the northern area of Russia, where it's cold. It's cold enough there, and because we were undernourished, so we didn't have a proper circulation. And so
what would you eat in the Gulag? Probably nothing, like soup, maybe a little soup.
We ate twice a day. Just poorly made meals with some dark piece of bread and some like a porridge. Watery stuff, you know. We were hungry all the time.
That was for like 2 years you were there, right?
Yeah. And a lot of people died. Older people who didn't have the stamina, like I was a strong youngster, you know, healthy. So I survived. But my friend with whom I crossed to Russia, his name, I forgot his second name, it's terrible. Anyway, he died, but I survived.
Wasn't it Cifra?
Cifra.
Yeah.
Cifra. C-I-F-R-A. Cifra.
But it was...
No, Julius.
Julius.
Julius. His first name was like Julian here in English would be Julian.
Okay.
In Slovak it's Julius.
Okay.
Cifra.
Julius Cifra. Yeah, it is.
Julius Cifra. Yeah, now I got it. Poor guy.
Yeah.
Was about my age, but was not as tough as I was, because I came from the mountains, you know.
Yeah.
And I was a little more conditioned for hard life than he was. He was from some city in southern Slovakia. Poor guy perished there.
Now, your life when you were growing up, you would move in the wintertime, you'd go back down to the village?
Yeah, in the wintertime we were down to the village by the river Bystryca, but our pieces of land were higher up in the places through the mountains.
Okay. How much land did your father own?
Oh, some acreage, I don't know. That maybe had 20 pieces of land in different sizes scattered over the mountains.
Yeah. Who has that land now, do you think? Who has that land now? Still your family?
It's still in my family, yes. My mother died when I was 11. And so my father remarried 2 or 3 years later, and he had more children. I think three more, maybe 4 more children. And they all have to help in the mountains, in the fields.
Right, right, right.
Yeah. To come back to the British units, military units.
Yeah.
I told them all I knew about the officers with whom I was imprisoned, who served in the British Army. Some were pilots, some were others, ground troops. And they asked me where I wanted to emigrate. They would help me. And I chose Australia, first of all, because of my frozen feet, on my feet. So Australia, of course, is warmer all over. It's on the southern part. Some of it is tropical. Half of Australia is in a tropical climate. And so they said okay, and they I was contacted a collection of Australia then was interested to get as many European people to Australia as they could handle. It's a big country, like the size of Europe, but it only had about 20 million people. Much of the country is kind of dry, you know, or half dry. And so I chose Australia. And when later, when there was enough people in Germany, in the big city, port city, Bremerhaven.
Okay.
Bremen is I think, very big city. It's a big port.
How do you spell it? Do you know?
It's a big port on the Mediterranean Sea. Bremerhaven, yeah. So from there, when there was enough people, I was instructed to come to Bremerhaven.
How did you get there? Did they take you there on a train or something?
By that time,
you were working somewhere, weren't you?
I was working in the city, in the town of Donawitz. D-O-N-A-W-I-T-Z, Donawitz, by Leoben. That's a city, bigger city around Leoben, maybe 40,000, 50,000, something.
Where was that, in Austria?
In Austria. I was working there to survive.
What were you doing?
Construction. They were enlarging a water cistern up on the mountain about the village of Donawitz. And it was a lousy job.
You were doing a jackhammer, weren't you? Were you running a
jackhammer inside that building, breaking the floor. They were digging out, making the whole construction bigger.
But you had to dig that out with this terrible noise. Did you put plugs in your ears?
I had covered my ears, but you know, you can never cover 100%.
Yeah.
Because the noise was reverberating inside the building.